welcome. It's the newspaper review here on Tab TV. My name is William Sabule, and you know, as we do it every other day here on the program, we talk about the headlines across newspapers around Nigeria, and we get to discuss the issues alongside you. So do well to also be a part of this program. Don't forget to drop your comments and your reactions on the comment section. Today is Monday, the 4th day in the month of September 2023, and we'll be going through the headlines. With me here on the program is Jennifer. One more, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Good to have you again. How have you been? How's your weekend?
It's my pleasure. In fact, my weekend went very well. There was this, it was almost a free watch at the cinema.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, yeah. The World Cinema
yes.
Day was on Saturday, I guess.
Yes.
And a lot of people take that advantage to visit the cinema. So you were one of them, man.
I was one of them, and that was how I got the opportunity to watch this very jago that has been trending.
So you're having a time of your life. You're not coming, but it's all good.
I did try your line, but you know.
I'm glad you had fun. Yeah, but then for me, my experience was more like too much rain over the weekend. So I had some laundry work done, and till now as I speak to you, my clothes are still on the line waiting to
In fact,
dry.
Mr. Abule, it was just during this past weekend. It rained for almost 3 days. It's this past weekend that I concluded and I accepted and I agreed that I'm living in Rivers State.
The rain were so
Of course, it didn't rain this way last year.
No, I can say it did rain, but yeah, it did rain. And then let's also remember that this is like the second peak of the rainy season. So
yes.
Yeah, this is not straight where rain will fall for days consecutively and not stopping.
It should just rain, but we don't need flood.
Yeah,
we
so
don't need flood, though the dams have been opened.
Yeah, we don't need
flood for any reason.
Yeah, that's another thing to worry about. People living along the coastal
I was very
lines,
worried.
especially in the south here and some states in the southeast, are actually on the edge because of the Lago Dam that has been said to have released some more water.
Yes.
So yeah, if you have relatives along those areas, around those areas, please reach out to them and make sure they are safe, and okay. All right, we are looking at this day newspaper for today, the 4th day in the month of September. And on this day, we have a headline from the very top here. It says, CBN, federal government recorded $17.18 billion inflows, 1.43 trillion naira fiscal deficit in Q1. All right, get details of that story on page 5 of this day. We also see as the front headline, it says, Buhari saved Nigeria from graft, says Garba Shehu, says his success in fight against corruption unprecedented. All right, if you agree with that bold statement, please pick up a copy of this day newspaper and go to page 6. That's where you will get details of that story. We also see here Enugu Investment and Economic Growth Stakeholders Roundtable. All right, and of course you see the Enugu State Governor there, and with some other stakeholders in a photograph. Do well to pick up a copy of this day to find details of that story. Tinubu ministers, industrialists depart for G20 summit today. All right, details you find on page 5 of this day newspaper. All right, Jennifer, interesting headline. And I noticed you were just giggling when you heard it.
Yeah, I just had to
about
giggle.
Buhari saving Nigeria from graft. That statement was put out by Garba Shehu, one of his media aides during his time.
And
a lot of Nigerians are reacting to this, that what is he talking about? Can he really prove that, yeah, Buhari's government was actually saving Nigeria from a lot of all this corruption activities? But a lot of Nigerians don't really agree to that. Do you agree with him?
Oh, asking me if I agree to that is like putting a gun to my throat and saying, choose this or you choose this. And sometimes you wouldn't know what to choose exactly. Let's come to that. You know, there's this saying that says, he who pays the piper dictates the tune. Yeah. So you don't expect Garba Shehu to be speaking otherwise of his, let me say, of his Oga, his former Oga. Once your Oga is still your Oga. So you don't go about hitting
Bad-mouthing.
him, bad-mouthing him because you no longer work for him. Of course, he must have seen sides to that. Yes, he must have had his reasons. One major one being the Ajokuta steel, how during Buhari's tenure, how the whole issues, the whole thing was brought to be by former President Mohamed Buhari. But looking at it from my own perspective, from what Nigerians actually saw from the tenure of former President Mohamed Buhari, was that there were lots of corruption. I don't know where to start. There were lots. The anti-graft agency, today you hear that EFCC has this particular person in custody. But after that news, what happens next? What is the aftermath of the arrest, of the arraignment of so person? What happens next? We don't hear anything. We hear that something have happened in NNPC. What was actually happening? The whole person, in fact, at a time it happened that EFCC itself had another EFCC. Yes. Very true. It was still during the time of Buhari that we had another EFCC. Pursuing another EFCC. Where do we see that kind of a drama? If not during the regime of President Muhammad Buhari, he was very incompetent. That government was very incompetent. 8 years of a change that we didn't see here in Nigeria. Yes, 8 years of a change that we didn't see here in Nigeria. Okay, let us look at this particular woman that is still in custody.
Which of them is it? Desani Allison?
Yes.
Desani Allison was from Goodluck Jonathan's administration.
From Goodluck Jonathan's administration into
President Muhammadu Buhari's time.
And I believe that they are just looking at issues where there are no issues. The major corruptions that were supposed to be dealt with during the tenure of President Muhammadu Buhari, they weren't dealt with. Until he left office. So how good? How do I rate him? Yes. How do Nigeria? Okay, over to you. Let me give you the question in return. How well did he do with this?
Oh well, this statement, I must say that it's a very bold statement by
saved Nigeria from graft.
By Garba Shehu. But like we rightly said, Garba worked as a media aide under Muhammadu Buhari, so he's still doing the job of trying to manage the image of Buhari's administration, a government he served under. So yes, I'm not surprised to see this kind of comment and reaction to the former Minister of Justice accusing Buhari's government of being very incompetent. And then Shehu reacting with, that Buhari saved Nigeria from graft. But I don't think so. I don't think so based on what was playing out in the 8 years of Buhari's reign. There were a lot of corruption.
Let us look at Emefiele's case.
Emefiele is one of the many. There were corruption allegations from almost all the institutions in Nigeria. The NNPC, most of the major institutions, the NNPC.
Talk about the education sector, INEC. And then where do we want to start? Which one do you want to keep aside?
Prosecution of people that were actually caught was almost an impossible thing. So we saw people commit these corruption crimes and walk free, whereas Buhari's government rode on the back of the horse of we are going to fight corruption. Yes,
that's to tell you that this is where the judicial system was supposed to perform very much. Yes, their duty. But all we see in Nigeria is, this person is guilty of so. He or she has been arraigned, but we don't see the end.
Actual prosecution to the end, where people will go to jail, politicians
Thank
go to
you.
jail. Remember the time where they imported, sorry to cut you short, they imported bad fuel into the country.
Yes.
And everybody, Buhari too came out to make a statement that, okay, the people responsible for this must be caught. Till today, did you hear any name? Did you see anybody being prosecuted for that? How about the oil theft in the Niger Delta that happens every day? Is that not corruption that has also dragged our economy down? Till today, the current administration is setting up, different task force to combat, oil theft in the Niger Delta.
Yes.
Because that's really eating deep into
Yes.
our economy. Then you spoke about the CBN, the former CBN governor, Emefiele, that brought up economic
came up with different policies
that didn't make any sense whatsoever. Look at where our economy is today. In terms of our money, the naira falls every day. Even as we speak today, the naira has fallen a bit more to the dollar, and we're in a very we are neck deep into a corruption, as it were. So the question is, even this current administration, are they going to be able to probe the former administration in terms of the corruption activities that went down in Buhari's time? Or they're just going to look away and move on from there?
And moving
on from there, does it not also mean that they have a lot more work to do in trying to fight back corruption? Because it has been said in many climes that Buhari's administration was mostly run by the cabals.
Yes.
People that were not in the administration that had...
In fact, the word that Adoki said, it was run by political morons.
So people ran the government based off of their interests.
Yes.
Not for the interest of Nigeria.
Sorry, Mr. Bule, for cutting you. I always come in with this Ekwerimado's. I always use Ekwerimado's case as an example. If that had happened in Nigeria, if the whole processes was done in Nigeria today, Ekweremadu would have been a free man.
In fact, the young man that raised the alarm would have been the one in jail by now.
Okay.
So that's how it is here.
So I don't support the statement. I don't know about any other person, but I don't support the statement. I don't agree to the statement.
I don't agree with it.
Yes, I don't agree with it.
He probably tried his bit in fighting against corruption, but he cannot tell us that he saved Nigeria. I think his administration actually dragged us more into more corruption, and then Garba Shehu, where
you had the men of the anti-graft, anti-fraud, whatever. You have to get this It was still in its tenure that the NSAS came up. This is because some of the youths could no longer walk freely on the street, because you have an EFCC personnel arresting you and won't even take you to the headquarters. Takes you to one bush or in one van with a POS, and you're making a huge transaction. You could no longer work with phones that are of high prices and phones that are worth it on the street. That is because once you fall into the hands of an EFCC officer,
you're gone.
You're gone.
Well, interesting. Well, for me, in closing that that headline, I would just say that Garba Shehu should speak with evidence. Not just put out words there saying that Nigeria said. Maybe he knows what he's saying, but we don't know what you're saying, Mr. Garba Shehu. All right, let's move on to other headlines on other newspapers, and this time we're going to Nigeria News Direct. And on Nigeria News Direct for today, the 4th of September, the headlines read, Dangote Cement remits 412.9 billion naira tax to federal government in 3 years. And you find that story on page 3 of the Nigeria News Direct. We also see here FX inflows rise by 17.5% to 18% or $18 billion in third quarter of 2023. The CBN making that statement there. We also see here African countries to pay $56 billion more on debt raised on capital markets. All right, that's by a research. We find story on page 21 of the Nigeria News Direct. We'll move on to the main headline on the Nigeria News Direct. Here it reads, federal government targets 50% GDP contribution from solid minerals to review Mining Act, establish mines police, issues 30-day ultimatum to illegal miners. And page 2 is where the details of that story is. Moving on to other headlines at the very bottom strip of the Nigeria News Direct, we see here, NDLEA intercepts ephedrine, skunk, laughing gas consignments at Lagos Airport. We find details on page 21 of the Nigeria News Direct. Right after that, we see medical bill payment. Sanwo-Olu gives hope to 13-year-old with missing intestine. Page 13, page 17, I beg your pardon, is where you will get details of that story. Very interesting story.
Yeah, that's a very interesting one.
And let me just take this last one. It says, Tinubu establish humanitarian hubs, revive, end power. And details on page 17 of the Nigerian News Direct. At the very bottom, also, we see oil companies threaten Nigeria's oil production output over non-remittance to host community trust fund. NUPRC, speaking on page 3 of the Nigerian News Direct. Oh, well, this very striking story about the medical bill payment. Someone who giving hope to a 13-year-old with missing intestine, missing small intestine, like the small intestine. You know, we have the large and the small intestine. The small intestine of this 13-year-old boy has gone missing all of a sudden.
This is human anatomy here, and I don't think I did that.
And I'm stunned, and I'm like, how did it get to this point where they cannot seem to tell or know where the boy's small intestine has gone to? Yeah, it was understandable that he had surgery at a private clinic, and then was now moved to
series of surgeries.
Yeah, series of he has been undergoing series of surgery to correct some medical condition.
Yes.
But then the last one happened in the private hospital before he was moved to
Lasut.
And now the Lasut doctors are saying, we don't know where the intestine is. The mother is confused and then went on to social media to cry for help.
But that brings this particular question. I would like to ask: was the mother or guardian not there? Was she not a signatory to whatsoever that was to be done to this little boy?
Okay, so what you're saying is that most likely what may have happened or transpired is that they did not remove the small intestine for business sake.
No.
Or for any
yes,
evil.
I wouldn't go to that.
It was probably removed based on the fact that they were trying to save his life.
Yes. Yes, because looking at what is happening in the society at large, the mother could have been screaming, because we know that lots of evil things are happening out there. We'll have persons into this organ harvesting business and they're really doing well. But I know that one day, every day is for the thief. Just one day is for the owner of the house. Yeah. There are lots of organ harvesting going on out there, and we know that even professionals
also indulge
in this act. That could have been the sole purpose for the mother's
outcry.
Yes, outcry. But looking at it health-wise and looking at it from the medical sector, I tried to, do a little research on this. Of course, I didn't do that in school. Yeah. Of course, I did biology, and that was not one of my best subjects. Anyway, let's say that due to some complications or rupture, this small intestine must have been cut out, removed to save the boy's life. Of course, they've released a statement stating that the boy, everything we've done is in the best interest of the boy's health, so that they can get away, they can find a way to bring this boy back to. Of course, the pictures, the videos are not looking nice. Yeah. They're not looking nice, really, and that's why I'm so happy that the governor of Lagos State, someone who had to intercede. It's nice. It's great to hear that he's in charge. He's having his citizens at heart. Yes.
Yeah, it's an
nice
interesting one. Good that. I was also happy to see that Governor Sanwo-Olu intervened, because at that point in time, I mean, every mother, any parent would be really alarmed that all of a sudden they cut out the small intestine of the child, and she doesn't have a proper explanation as to what has happened. Which that's where I blame the doctors from. They should have explained to her whether it was an emergency. After the procedure has been done, they should have called her in to properly explain that, okay, we had to go this length to save your son's life, and if you need to see the body part, this is the body part. Can you take it and bury it by yourself?
That's to tell you that we still need Nigerian doctors. Let me say, they need to you know,
They need
educate
to have some
themselves
human
more.
feelings.
Yes, they need
Because
to have some human feelings that, okay, this is what we are going to do to your son. This is what will occur. This is what the
Now,
effects
Jenny,
will
another
be.
thing is they may not have the time, depending on what is going on.
But
they may
there
not have
should
the time
be,
to come back up. But then
there
after
should be
the surgery,
sensitization.
after the surgery, I mean, you need to, you know, explain to relatives of any patient that, okay, we've done this and that and that. It was done to save your life because we ran into this complication, this and that and that and that. And this is how it was done. And then this is the body part that we removed. Please hand it over to them to go and bury, not you discarding these things on your own and even claiming right that since you are trying to help the boy, but the woman is throwing
Mr. Abule, that's what I'm trying to say here, that they lacked communication.
Yeah, I
yes,
guess that's
they
just
lacked
a matter of
communication, because if there was a nice communication discussion between the hospital and the guardian to this boy, there would have been a balance.
Yeah,
there would have been no cause for alarm. But you know, God intervened, and I think on the mother's side is a great help.
Yeah, kudos to the governor of
Kudos
Lagos
to the governor of Lagos State.
Through. I can imagine that by this time the medical bills for
it could have been,
you know, for that woman would have gone into the heavens. And so kudos to the governor for coming in to say, okay, yeah, I'm going to take off the bills, whatever it is, I'm going to clear it up. It's on me. And has also gone ahead to encourage the young man and the parent, the mother of the boy, and assuring her that he's on the matter at any time she can reach him. He will be on top of it until the boy's life is saved.
Okay, Mr. But let us look at it that this woman didn't have what it takes to come to social media to meet the persons that were at the top. Or maybe she didn't have persons that would take her to the government, that will bring her voice out. If this had happened to a person in the rural area, what will happen next?
That's how people die, and they say it's witchcraft.
And they say it's witchcraft. So in case of next time, I'm really saying it. I was very pissed at the initial time. And then hearing a mother lamenting, the thing got me.
Yeah, if you look at that story,
it got me teary. I was very sad. I'm like, how will a hospital do this to a person without proper communication? In case of the next time, there's no hospital that should do this to a person without proper communication. That wasn't right. Yes,
well,
I'm condemning that. That wasn't right.
We need to move on from that story. All right, we're still on the Nigerian News Direct. We have this headline here that's talking about federal government targeting 50% of the GDP contribution coming from solid minerals. And this is a statement that was put out by Dele Alake,
our minister. He's
of,
working,
is it Minister of Solid
Minerals?
All right, so he has come out this time and he is running after illegal miners, people. And then it has been on the news how we've had illegal mining sites across, the northern part of Nigeria.
Yes.
And people have been mining gold and other mineral resources from Nigeria, and then taking it out of the country and selling it off and taking this money
into their pockets.
So to the extent that we have private individuals that own mining sites, and it has raised a lot of alarm. And now the federal government is coming out through the Minister of Mineral Resources, Dele Alake, saying that, okay, enough is enough, and we're giving these illegal miners 30 days to stop, else they will have to face the wrath of the law. And they're not just stopping there, they are going ahead to form a corporation that is going to actually supervise and, of course, regulate the system. And then have all those private miners, register through the government, and let's have, revenue being generated from these guys. Because let's look at it. These natural resources are not there for a particular section of the country or a particular person. It is there for Nigeria, just like the oil of Nigeria the oil in Nigeria that is coming from the Niger Delta is not for Niger Deltans alone. It's not for the people living in the south. The oil has actually sustained Nigeria for as many years as we can remember.
And very soon the oil might just
very good. So why we worry about the oil drying up? These natural resources that are all over the place are also other things that we can diversify into. But Nigeria has not, it is clear that Nigeria has not fully harnessed,
its natural resources.
The natural resources that are available to us. Because it is said that in Zamfara State, gold is very abundant there. Not just gold, I mean, we're talking about, what about the Ajaokuta steel complex, where we should have been, you know, using steel to get a lot of money, but all of these things are on, you know, are in some kind of comatose state. So now, the Minister of Natural Resources, very interesting ministerial portfolio he has there, and a lot of work for him to do too.
Yes, to whom much is given, much is expected of, because so many persons are keeping their fingers crossed.
Of course, we want to see, we want to see some kind of revival of that sector. Let it be useful to the government. So I am so happy that they are targeting 50% of the GDP coming from that sector, and I hope that they will be able to, you know, put words to action, and let's begin to see most of the things that they said, because I mean, I want to believe that Tinubu is a man of his words, and now that Dele Alake is spinning fire, I want to believe that they are going to really get to work and begin to regulate the system, because if you look at those videos from these mining sites, you will really be worried.
Really? These are nice ideas, and just like you've said it, though you've not said it all, the whole thing is all about implementation. We are used to this. We've heard them say, this is what we'll do, these are the strategies involved, this is what we're going to do. Of course, we know that these things are possible only if they can face these individuals that has made the mining sites their personal properties, only if they can face them, only if they will not fall the victim of circumstances. When this private individual comes up to them to say, we aren't doing this, what can you take to stop this? You know, that is a major issue here in Nigeria. We have the who is who. Just like you said earlier, we have the cabals. We have the cabals. But seeing the persons that are on seat right now, Dele Alake being a person, the Minister of Solid Minerals, and seeing the person that have put him there, Tinubu, to whom much is given, much is expected of, just like I mentioned earlier, to whom much is given, much is expected of. Remember that these individuals, they've been eating since. They've been eating from there, and it won't be easy pushing you away, regulating it, you know, trying to
there could be some resistance.
There could be some resistance.
Nobody is above the law and above the government. So we
in
expect
Nigeria,
that the government should stand their ground.
We believe that from the constitution, we know that nobody is above the law. And this time around, we want to see things happening that, come to think of it, we have coal, we have, come to Enugu now.
There are lots of natural resources.
There are lots of natural resources. Is it just the gold? Persons are forgetting that we have lots of calcium here.
So
but most of the toothpaste we are using, the calciums are being imported. Meanwhile, they are being exported out from this country, then later brought back. But another aspect of it is that it's not just having them to register under a corporation. We need to bring in multinational companies.
Oh, well, that's what the minister said.
Yes.
When he said that they are going to create a corporation like the NMPC that is going to now regulate this. So with that corporation, yes, they will begin to now look out for investors that will invest in those areas and begin to mine these natural resources and produce money for both the federal government and for themselves. So so we see that coming to light. But I'm afraid we're going to move away from that story now and take a quick break. When we come back, we take our last paper for the day. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Hey there, are you looking to record your videos, do your voiceovers and take your professional pictures? Look no further. With our state-of-the-art newsroom, photography, kitchen for our food content creators and exclusive children's studio, we certainly can deliver the best studio experience. Our carefully designed studio space can bring your diverse creative content ideas to life. We aim to consistently serve value to our customers far and wide. Come, let Tharv Media give life to your dreams. Tharv Media, a slice of infotainment.
All right, you're welcome back from that short break. Thank you so much for watching up to this time. We're still taking the newspaper headlines on our newspapers for today, the 4th day in the month of September 2023. And we'll go on to the Daily Times newspaper, and this headline, very interesting one. It says, drama as lady accuses father of being behind her barrenness. You must release me and my womb today,
Witchcraft.
Papa. Interesting one right there. All right, if we need to get details of that story, go on to page 5 of the Daily Times newspaper and find out why the father is holding on to the womb of his daughter. All right, we move on to the main story on the Daily Times here. It says, palliative distribution. Adama residents slam Fintry. Alleged fraud in rebranding foodstuffs with his photograph inscriptions. Accuse him of vendetta. Opposition parties supporters totally starved. Moms the word from state government. All right, interesting headline there. We also see here on the Daily Times, it says, how Emefiele messed up Nigeria's economy, financial expert. People will suffer many more years. And at the very bottom strip, we see analysts anticipate mixed sentiments as investors cherry pick sound stocks. Page 17 is where the details is. Rivers records over 240 fatalities and resurgence of violence. Page 5 is where details is. Flood sweeps man away, body recovered in another community. Sad story there on page 11. After decades, finally, Bajama gets district head. All right. Page 9 is where you get details of all of that details. All right, that's all the headlines we'll be taking on the Daily Times. All right, Jennifer, let's look at the Adamawa story where Adamawa residents are beginning to accuse the governor of playing some games with the palliatives provided by, is it the state government or the federal government, whichever that is. Well, we also know that the federal government has also distributed monies to different state governors to aid palliative distribution. And in Adamawa State, they are saying that they are alleging that the governor has rebranded most of the foodstuff with his pictures and inscriptions, you know, and they've also accused him of,
Making it a
starving
party.
opposition party members, people that are not from the party, they are not getting the food items that is meant for everyone. What's your take to that story?
Yes, thank you, Ms. Abule. I think that the distribution of this palliative is to mitigate the effect of the subsidy removal. To the Adamawa citizens, I think that the picture of your governor or whomever it is on the palliative is not the issue. The core issue here is, are you receiving the palliatives?
Okay, no, but it doesn't end there. It's not just the pictures on the bags of these food items. They've also accused him of vendetta. That means he's using these items to fight a war against a certain area. Probably you didn't vote for him.
Yes.
Your area did not vote for his government, so you don't get it.
And I'm coming into that. That's to tell you the level at which politicians go to secure their own axis, their own persons. Yes, they are loyalists. Is that supposed to be so? Is democracy not from the top to the bottom is for everyone?
Of course.
Then do you need to say, this person's voted for me, this party didn't vote for me, these are the persons to receive palliative that are not even talk of, let us go move down to Badagry. I don't know if you saw what happened. They were distributing have you seen soybean or soya milk pack?
Yeah.
You know, they said this was actually corn flour in one small pack of no. Looking at these palliatives is nothing to write home about. Then on the other hand, hearing that it's not getting to everyone is a sad one.
Well, we know that this palliative is meant to go to the poorest of the poorest citizens.
Starting from the poorest of the poorest citizens.
Because, for those people that can at least manage to secure food for themselves, it shouldn't be going to struggle with these ones. Then you get to people. There are people, whether you like it or not, there are people around us that cannot afford a 1,000 naira meal per day.
Now we are now having persons that still have about 10 to 50 bags of rice stocked up in their houses, still picking up the palliatives that are meant for the poorest of the poorest.
So
just like you said.
Example is
how could such a thing be happening? And let us look at Adamawa. There are so many IDP camps in Adamawa. They need this stuff.
State, where palliatives that were given to them during the flood in 2021 was stocked up in a warehouse until they were now expiring, which was really unfair. And so the information got to some residents, and they broke into that place and moved most of those things. So
that it can expire in their stomach.
Yeah.
Let us know.
If that's what's going on in Adamawa State, that is so wrong. Let's have people have the means of even having a voice. Let them eat.
Even in Rivers, who had a story, some sort of story.
No, Rivers State own is that, well, the governor has put out a statement saying that he doesn't want the palliatives to be sidelined by party members saying that, okay, if you're not PDP, you're not getting. No, he made it very clear, the governor, Seminala Ifubara, made it very clear that palliatives should get to the poorest of the poorest around amongst us, and they should not be about party. These palliatives should go beyond party lines and get to everybody. He also spoke about the 2 billion naira that was sent in by the federal government to the River State government and other states too. And he was like, okay, they are going to really get together and determine what they will do with the money, but for this time, they will not go ahead and start sharing that money right away. They will look at how they will progressively distribute this money amongst, most especially these palliatives needs to get to the right persons. There are people in the society that if it gets to, they probably use it to feed their dogs. But these people we are referring to are the vulnerable in the villages, and not just in the villages. There are people living around, even in the city, that cannot afford a meal in a day. And so why don't you target these people and let them have these palliatives instead of begin to use party? You're using party to distribute these things.
Why?
It is not fair. It is not fair because people are out there suffering, and this move by the government is just one amongst almost nothing that usually would happen. So the very first time or the few times that government has said, give people this aid, please let it get to them instead of using it to play politics. People will still vote for you, because during politics they still go about sharing money. People still come out. So it's not this food that will secure your votes. Please do what is right so that people will have more trust in you.
Even when you look at it from another side, you notice that so many Nigerians are no longer doing who gives me food is who I will vote for. They vote by their... So they don't just vote because you gave them something. So this is the federal government palliative, and it should reach the persons that really need it. The persons that really need it. The vulnerable.
All right. Thank you so much, Jennifer. But I'm afraid that's what we're going to call it a day today. Thank you for watching. To our viewers, you guys are the real MVPs. And make sure you connect with us on our social media handles on Facebook, Instagram, and on X, formerly known as Twitter. And we'd love to have your contribution, so drop them. Let's know what you think about these headlines we've spoken about today. All right, till next time I come your way again. Do well to stay safe and stay well. Thank you for watching.